Far Side Movie Reviews.
All right. All right, Farsighted. So I just got back from seeing Ghost in the Shell, a movie that a lot of people were excited about because it is based on the very, very popular anime called Ghost in the Shell, which I think came out in 93. I don't know. Somebody correct me. I actually have it around here somewhere, but I haven't seen it in years. But folks were looking forward to this because it's so popular that they wanted to see a live adaptation of it. So there was a lot of buzz about it. Now, me, I was not looking forward to it so much because of that, but more so because I really like Scarlett Johansson. I am a big fan of hers, honestly, you guys. So I think she's just a fabulous actress. A lot of stuff she's done, I've seen. So I was going to check it out just because she was in it. So let's get into this movie. We'll talk about the cast and we'll do a little synopsis of it. Then I'll give my thoughts about this. Either some people really liked it or they didn't like it so much. I'll tell you what I think about it, then you can decide whether or not you are going to go check this movie out. So, the movie also stars Takeshi Kitano, Palau Asbiek, Michael Pitt, and Juliette Binoche, and the director is Rupert Sanders. And here is a quick synopsis of this film. Scarlett Johansson plays a soldier who is cybernetically enhanced, and she's working for a crime-fighting organization, basically hunting down the worst of the worst criminals. Well, in this process of hunting down these criminals, she starts to kind of have these flashbacks, and then she realizes that something happened in her past that she's not been fully told about. And as this narrative unfolds, she kind of starts to discover some things about her past, and she starts asking questions that are kind of metaphysical or existential in nature. Like, what is the nature of life? What is the nature of being human? And those kind of things are tackled in this film, all wrapped around her pursuit of a certain cyber criminal. So, let's get into this. Now, one of the first things I have to say about this is that visually this thing is stunning, and they really do a good job with the world build here. So she's living in a time where not only she is cybernetically enhanced, virtually every human is cybernetically enhanced. It's just something that we have embraced during this time period. It's a way for us to experience a higher quality of life. It's a way for us to deal with some disabilities. So a lot of humans have these different cybernetic enhancements. It could be your hand, it could be your vision, it could be your heart, it just could be a number of different things. So everyone has kind of embraced this whole idea. Now, what the film does to really support this is very cool because visually they build the world around this whole idea of really kind of being technologically advanced, and it shows visually when you're looking at the city, when you're looking at the landscape. I mean, the visual appeal of this is just so beautiful to look at, and it supports the narrative or this idea of cybernetic enhancement, and it is consistent throughout the film, which I thought was pretty cool. So visually I was blown away by this. I mean, it was really, really nice. Some people complained about some parts looking CGI-ish. Honestly, I couldn't tell. I thought that every part was executed so well. I'm sure there was some CGI in there. I don't know. I couldn't tell. I was really blown away by the visual aspect of this film, and I thought that it was actually really creatively done also. So hats off to the cinematographer when it came to all of that, and just kind of the way this film was executed visually was really, really nice. And I think that's probably one of the first things that you guys will notice when you go and check out this film. So that gets a check in my box. Now, let's talk about the performances in this film. Same thing, man. I mean, I thought the performances in this film were really good. I thought that it was really well acted from everybody. I thought all of the players in the narrative did their parts in terms of really kind of communicating what their purpose was. I thought it was well done. It was well executed. The acting in this film was great. I didn't have any issues with that at all, which is strange because I'm going to say something in a second that's going to sound a little bit contradictory, but I'll try and clean it up so that you follow where I'm going. But I love the performances in this film. I thought it was great. Now, let's talk about the narrative in this film. So the narrative in this film was pretty interesting. You know, it is wrapped around her pursuit of kind of this one master criminal, but she does kind of ask some other ideas that are really interesting, such as what is the nature of life? What is the nature of being human? All of those things are kind of tackled in this film. These kind of write like these existential and to some extent even metaphysical questions are tackled in this film, which is an interesting concept. So like there's some meat on a subject like that. You can get into that. So all of us philosophical type folks out there can wrap our minds around that. And I think that that is a very interesting concept, and I think that the film does a fairly good job of kind of executing that narrative, or kind of bringing that narrative to the big screen and having us to kind of think about some things. Which brings me to the biggest problem I had with this film, and that is that it was just kind of boring. It was really interesting, and I couldn't put my finger on it because I didn't have a problem with the performances. I thought that visually it was stunning. I thought that the narrative was pretty good. So I said to myself, why? This is boring, but I'm not sure why. It seems like it has all of the elements to be a really good film, but yet I am nodding my head in some cases, really kind of trying to figure out what's going on here. Like, I cannot stay awake. And I remember one time looking at my watch, feeling like, okay, it's got to be we've had to have been an hour or so long in this movie, and like 40 minutes had passed. And I was actually a little bit nervous about this movie because I didn't feel like the runtime was long enough to really do this narrative justice. But it felt longer than it was, and it really did feel boring. So here's what I think, because I really did think about what was going on there. I think two things are happening here. I think that it is not necessarily the fault of the narrative as to why this film feels boring at times, but I really do think that it is actually the direction. I think that during the times where she is kind of having these philosophical conversations with different folks in the narrative about the nature of life, and what it means to be human and things like that, those times are just boring to look at. I think, and it's not a cinematic thing, because visually it was still beautiful to look at. It is the way that things are executed in terms of the direction. It just doesn't come across as interesting. It comes across as flat and boring in terms of how it's executed with the direction, in my opinion, because I still, even during those times, I still felt like the acting was strong. And I know that seems a little bit discongruent, doesn't it? It seems to kind of be a contradiction to what I said when I said the acting was good, but I'm not really sure how else to talk about it. I mean, if you guys understand what I'm talking about and you can put it in a more succinct way in the comments, then please feel free to do so. But that is just really kind of my thoughts on it. It's a shame because I felt like this film really had a lot of potential with some of the things that it sought to tackle, but to me it just came off as boring. I will say this though about the movie. Let's end this on a high note. I do think, I say it all the time, and this is another case of it. Whenever you have a movie that is trying to adapt something, it could be from a famous TV show, it could be from a comic book, it could be from a book. In this case, it's from an anime. You have to do two things, in my opinion, to make the movie successful. You should do two things. Number one, you have to make a movie that respects the fan base. You can't just be like, forget about the fan base, we're just going to do it our way. I don't think that that's right, and normally movies like that don't go over well. So you got to respect the fan base. I think this movie does a good job of that. So I think that folks who really love the anime will see some things in this movie that really are kind of track right along with what they remember from seeing from the anime, and they will just love that because this is what they want to see. They want to see that live adaptation of what it is that they were looking for. So I think this movie does a good job of that. I think at times this movie does a good job of also servicing the general moviegoer who might have, just like myself, I'm not the general moviegoer because I'm familiar with the anime, but the general moviegoer who may have gone to see it because Scarlett Johansson was in it, or who may have thought the commercials were really cool, so they were like, I'm going to check this out. I think it does a good enough job of pulling them in and supporting us such that we are interested enough at times in this narrative when we're not asleep because it's so boring. So it does do that well. I think it services the two audiences well, which I think it needs to and it should. So I thought the movie did a good job of that. Also, I just thought on the whole, you guys, it was just boring. I'm not even really sure what else to say. And it was a shame because it seemed like it didn't have to be, but yet it was. So those are my thoughts about Ghost in a Shell. Guys, what did you think about this? Did you see this? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree? Do you partially agree? Put that in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Guys, if you like this, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, and you never hear reviewers say this, but I'm going to tell you, if you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I'm not mad at that. You don't have to like everything. I do, but I do ask if you give it a thumbs down, guys. Put in the comments why you didn't like it and just let me know. Listen, dude, you're wrong because of this, this, and that. And hey, that's good. I'm all about the discussion. Guys, please make sure that you hit that notification bell. I am doing a series by series kind of editorial. It's not even a review, but a discussion of Into the Badlands. I love that AMC series. So, guys, we're really going to get into that, and we're going to look at season by season. I will be putting up my review for season 2, episode 1 tomorrow, and I'm going to also. It's not a normal posting date for me either, but I'm going to try to put up season 2, episode 2 on Saturday, so that we're all caught up and we're ready for season 2, episode 3, which comes out on Sunday night. So I'm really going to be getting into that. You guys, it will be popping up soon. If it hasn't, you can see kind of my overview of season 1, where I really kind of break down the mechanics of it, get you ready for season 2, and then listen, guys, we're going to do this together. If you've not been looking into the Badlands, you definitely want to check it out. All right, you guys, I think that is it. Share this if you would, please. I would appreciate it. And guys, as always, I do thank you so much, and I will see you on the next video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Bye bye.